You have a printout in your engineering folder, and in the engineering folder you'll see the engineering design process. Now this process has been changed many times, and there's actually a whole lot of processes out there. But our engineering design process looks like this. This actually comes from the Boston Museum of Science. It starts with the goal. What is your goal? Are you trying to build a bridge? Are you trying to build a tower? Are you trying to make a new puppet or a shoe? Whatever your goal is, you go through this process. The process starts with ask, and then you imagine what it is. Now, ask is actually really important. When we give directions and say, do this, a lot of times people just go and do it, and they assume that they know everything. Engineers are trained to ask, what's the budget? What are we working for? What kind of materials do we have? Where exactly are we doing this? And they ask all kinds of questions because they don't want to assume anything, because most of the times their assumptions are wrong. So you learn to ask, and this is probably the biggest failure for most of our new engineers, that they never ask, they assume. So then once you ask and you get all the information that you possibly can, then you go to imagine. You imagine, what is this going to look like? How is it going to be? And you come up with 1,000 different possibilities. Then you say, okay, I'm going to pick one, the one that I think is the best. And I make a plan, usually a design, a drawing, or maybe a prototype. You start to plan out, and then you create. You build the stuff out of whatever materials you have, make a smaller version of it, make sure that it works and functions the way that you think it should, and then you improve. When it fails or actually doesn't do as well as you think, or you think actually that did well but I want to do better, you improve. It can always be improved. Now, the thing about this process is it's not a linear process. It doesn't have to go in a straight line. You can ask and then create and then ask and then imagine and then ask and then plan and then go back and forth, and you're constantly improving and doing all this stuff. So even though it looks like it's just going like this, you can go in all sorts of directions. So throughout the week, you're going to ask them, what are you doing right now? Are you asking? Are you creating? Are you planning? Are you improving? And throughout the week, they should be like, right now I am improving, or right now I'm asking. They realize that these are just steps in a normal process of improving new technologies. We're making new technologies better. This is the engineering design process.